Hello everyone, you're welcome back again to another sewing tutorial on this channel. If you're stopping for the first time, you're welcome. In today's video, we'll be learning how to make a short BUBU dress with a trendy V neckline lapel collar. If this is what you're interested in watching, please kindly watch the video to the end. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Okay, subscribe guys, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So guys, without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Okay guys, the first thing to do is to place your fabric on fold. As you can see, I have my fabric on a layer of 4. Just place it on a fold and then fold it again, so that we'll be cutting the front and the back together. So what I simply did on the fabric was to come down by 1 inch. This is going to act as a guide for the vertical measurement. So from that line, I'm going to be marking the waistline. After marking the waistline, I'll go ahead and mark the hip line, and then I'll proceed to the full length of the BUBU dress. So mark your waistline, mark your hip line, and then the length of your BUBU dress. Okay, it can be on your knee, above your knee, or a little bit below your knee. Depends on where you want it to stop. So the length of this one, I'd wanted this BUBU dress to be below my knee, but the length of the fabric I have couldn't get to that point, so I just had to make use of what I have in my shelf. Okay, so the length of the fabric is 34 inches. I'll go ahead and mark 34 inches, and then I'll take it to the other side, and then I'll mark the same 34 inches. I'll go ahead and draw a straight line. Okay, if you notice, I'm using the right side of my fabric simply because the wrong side is a bit faded. Not faded, it's a little bit blurred if I use my tailor's chalk, so I chose to use the right side. Okay, and if you also notice, the lines are not thick. I'm just slightly drawing the line so that it doesn't get so thick on the fabric, and I can easily clean it out. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark the cut together sleeve, which is 16 inches, and then I'll add half an inch seam allowance. Okay, so that is the length of my sleeve. Your cut together is from your center back to where you want your sleeve length, or from your shoulder and then add your sleeve to it. Okay, so for me, my cut together is 16, which is my shoulder plus sleeve from your center back. Okay, I'll go ahead and mark the quarter of my waist circumference on my waistline, and then I'll add 2.5 inches seam allowance on the waist, and then I'll go ahead and add additional 2-inch seam allowance. Sorry, 2.5 inches ease allowance, and then 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, I hope you guys get me. And then on the hip line, I'll do the same. The quarter of your hip circumference, I went ahead to add my 4 inches ease allowance, and then 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, I'll take it again, quarter of my hip, 4 inches ease allowance, and then 2 inches seam allowance, and then I'll transfer whatever I have on my hip down to the hemline. Okay, so for the waistline, I wanted a little bit fitting around the waist. This is not compulsory. You can go ahead and transfer whatever you have from your waist, from your hip down to your sleeve opening. Okay, but I wanted a little modification around the waistline. If you notice my BUBU kaftans, I'm always modifying the waist area simply because I don't want it to be that straight. Okay, so my neck width is 2.5 inches, so it depends on what you want. And then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope, and then I'll link it to my neck width. Is as easy as this. Okay, okay guys, the next thing I'll simply do is to draft my sleeve opening. Okay, so from the shoulder slant, which is down by 1.5, I'm going to be coming down by 9.5 inches, and then I'm going to highlight that point with a straight line, which I did. But the mistake I did here was not adding my seam allowance for the sleeve. Please advise that if you're making use of 9.5 just like I did, you can go ahead and add additional 1 inch so that you can use that seam allowance to close up the sleeve. If not, you'll be eating into your sleeve opening. Okay, so I had to apply a little bit knowledge around that area while I was closing up the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to be linking the 3 points together, and then I'll cut it out. So you can, if you notice that the dress pattern on the fabric is not straight, okay, it's a bit curvy around the waist area. And like I mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and link up your measurement from your hip line, your hip points up to your sleeve opening. Okay, so it varies for different clients, depends on how your clients want it. Okay, So this is the pattern. So I'll go ahead and remove one. I actually just drafted the neckline for the back. Okay, for the neckline for the back, the neck depth is 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches width, and 1.5 inches neck depth. So I'll cut it out using the neckline, and then I'll remove one of the fabric. But before doing that, I will go ahead and trim out the excess I have around the hemline. So I'll just simply use my measuring tape to redraft it, simply because I've detached one of the dress. I've removed one of the dress. So I will just go ahead and retake that measurement so that I don't have to make any mistakes. I won't have one of the pattern, or maybe one of the fronts longer than the back, probably when I'm joining the front to the back. Okay, so I'll go ahead and trim out the excess I have on the hemline. So the next thing to do is for me to draft my front neck depth. So guys, for the front neckline, I'll be coming down by 18 inches from the shoulder line. I want you guys to see where I actually placed my meter rule directly on the shoulder line. I'll go ahead and mark 18 inches, and from that point I went in by 2.5 inches, and I'll be linking it up to the shoulder line as you can see me doing. Okay, so my lapel collar is going to be extending from my shoulder line down to my waist area. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut out the neck front neckline. I came down by 18 inches and I went in by 2.5 inches, and so this is what the front neckline, front pattern looks like. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to use this same pattern to cut out the lining. I'll be cutting out the lining for the front and the back, and this is what I have on my working table. This is the front, you can see the neckline the same, and this is the back as well. This is the same pattern for the front and the back. So what I'll simply do here is to use the lining to turn up the front and the back. Before doing this, you can go ahead and place your pockets if you want, but I didn't place my pocket. I went ahead to turn up my front pattern and then turn up the back pattern. Okay, so just simply align it this way, right sides facing each other, guys, and then you secure it with a pin. At this point, you can go ahead and trim out like 1.5 inch from the lining, okay, to turn up the front and the back. Okay, but I realized that the fabric itself is very short, so I don't want it to be shorter than what it is already. Okay, I wanted to just work with 34 inches and not even anything less than 34, because I wanted it to be longer than 34, but it wasn't achievable for me, so I had to make do with what I have. So I've turned up the lining, I've turned up the fabric with the lining for the front and the back, and I did not close up the shoulder. So I'm going to be closing up the shoulder. So I'll place it right sides facing each other. I'm going to make sure that the seam lines for the front and the back is aligning, and then I'll go ahead and secure it with my pin. I'll go ahead and place my pin, the fabric to fabric, lining to lining. So watching me, you understand what I'm doing. It's so clear. So I've already secured the fabric with my pin. So I'll go ahead and secure the lining. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'll go ahead and sew it by 1/2 inch. So I was very careful because I know that seam allowance alone on the shoulder is going to reduce the length. So I didn't want to reduce the lining on the fabric. Okay, so I'll go ahead, take it to my sewing machine and secure it, join it by 1/2 inch. I'll do it for both sides. Okay, so this is what we have. I've been able to close up the shoulder for the front, for this dress, I meant to say, and then I went ahead to secure for the neckline, the round neckline. I just top stitched, secure the fabric to the lining. So after joining the shoulder, just top stitch whatever opening you have around the neckline, that is the neckline for the front and the back. Just top secure the lining to the fabric. So I'll go ahead and place take the measurement where I want to place my pocket. So I just came down by 19 inches from the shoulder, which is 1 inch below my neckline, and then from that point I went in by 2.5 inches. So guys, I'll take it again. For the pocket, I came down by 19 inches, which is 1 inch below the waistline, and then I went inwards by, I went in, is it inward or outward? I went out from that neckline. I just went out a bit by 2.5 inches. I hope this makes sense. So I highlighted with my chalk. I wasn't clear enough, so I still had to use my pin. I still use my pin to just secure that point so that it won't just clean out, and I'll be looking for where I wanted to place my pocket. So I just used my pins to just secure that point. so that whenever I want to place my pocket, I'll be sure, to be certain that this is the exact place for it. Okay, guys, so we're good here. So I'll go ahead and draft the pattern for the pockets. This is a piece of fabric right here. Okay, so I have this fabric. In fact, I just make do with whatever I had on my shelf. If you notice, I've done a tutorial with this particular fabric, and this is just a residual fabric I had, and I wanted to use it for the pocket to give it a twist for this style illustration. So I was just trying to figure out the front and the back, because it's like the front and the back wasn't too, the difference wasn't too much. So I was trying to figure out the actual part that is the front and the back. So finally I got it, and then I placed it, okay, uniformly, and then I secured it with a pin. I didn't want to use a rectangular pattern. The pattern was a bit curvy. Okay, so the length is 10.5 and the width is 9 inches. I will be using 1.5 inches for the elastic. So if I remove 1.5 inches from the total length, I'm having 9 by 9. Okay, so we're having 9 by 9. So I'll go ahead and mark the midpoint of the width and the midpoint of the length. I'll be using it to redraft the pockets. Okay, so this is the midpoint, which is 4.5 by 4.5. So I'll go ahead and draw a curve like so. Okay, and then I'll use my scissors to cut out the excess fabric we have left. Okay guys, the next thing I'll simply do is just to fold it by the side by half an inch. Just use your steam iron to like fold it by half an inch. Okay, and then fold the upper part, which is where your elastic will pass through, by half an inch, and then fold it by 1 inch so that your elastic can pass through. Okay, so right here on my work table, I've been able to place my elastic on the pocket. Okay, so you can see that the pocket is a bit the elastic is already on the pocket. Okay, so like I mentioned, just reduce the length of your elastic by probably 1 inch or 2 inch or 3 inches, depending on the amount of ruffle you want to create for the elastic, and then go ahead and place it through that channel and top stitch it. That's just all. So I've already folded by half an inch. What I simply need to do, secure the pocket with a pin to my to the dress, take it to my sewing machine and top stitch it round. Okay, so I did a top stitch round. That is why I simply advise that you can actually place your pocket before turning up your lining if you want a neat seam finishing for your dress, so that you don't have to start seeing stitch at the back of your lining. But if you also find it convenient to do it now, you can go ahead and place it. So it depends on what you want. So the next thing for us to do, which is to place a lapel collar on the dress. So from my shoulder seam, I'm going to take a round measurement back to the same seam line. Okay, so you can do it from one seam line, shoulder seam, take it round, or you can do the round measurement from your center back neckline round. So you can notch a point anyway. You can notch a point, take a precise measurement. So for me, the round measurement is 41.5. I'm going to be adding few inches. I'll make mine 46 inches. Okay, so you can go ahead and add additional 5 or 6 inches to your total length. Please ensure you do this so that you don't have any issues. So I've been able to cut out this piece of fabric measuring 46 inches by length, and the width is 6 inches. Remember that I went in by 2.5, so on a spread I have 5 inches, and then I'm going to be using half an inch to join. So you definitely need to add 1 inch to your total length, to your total width, I meant to say. So the width is 6 inches, the total length is 46. So it's going to vary. This is my own measurement, so ensure that you take your own measurement. If you're working with 2 inches, if your neck depth is 2 inches, know that you'll be needing 5. If it's 2.5, know that you'll be needing 6. If it's 3, know that you'll be needing 7. Okay, so what I'll simply do is to go ahead and mark my neckline. The neckline for this lapel collar is 12 inches. From this point, I'm going to be stitching down. Okay, so I'm going to be very clear here. If your neck width for your bubble dress is 2.5, ensure that your neck depth on the collar is below 13 inches so that your head can pass through. I actually worked with 12 inches for my center back neckline for this my lapel collar. I worked with 12 inches, but it was a little bit, you know, though my head passed through, but it was a little bit not too free. So I simply advise that if your neck width is 2.5 on your bubble dress, ensure that on the lapel collar your opening is around 13 inches, between 13 to 14 inches, so that your head can pass through. So guys, what you simply need to do is to go ahead and secure it from the center point of the lapel collar to the center back, secure it with a pin, and then secure one side of the lapel collar with your pins. Ensure that you secure one side first, and then take it to your sewing machine and stitch it up. Okay, so for me, what I usually do is to stitch one side, and then I'll come back, secure the other side with a pin, and then I'll stitch it. Okay, so the seam allowance is 1/2 inch, so I'll be working with 1/2 inch seam allowance for both sides. Okay, so I'll take this to my sewing machine. After securing it this side, I'll do the same for the other side. Okay, so this is what we have. You can see how neat is looking. I forgot to mention that you should also use an interfacing for your lapel collar to give it that rigidity around that area. So it depends on the choice of fabric. Since it's an Ankara fabric and the fabric is unstable, I would advise that you use an interfacing for it. Okay, so you can go ahead and trim out the excess lapel collar that you have. You notch both sides where the lapel stops. Go ahead and then fold this part like so. I'm sure you can see what I'm doing, and then top stitch it. Okay, so it's not difficult. After doing that, you're going to be placing your front and your back fabric right sides facing each other. Ensure that you are aligning properly. Secure it with your needle, sorry, secure it with your pins, I meant to say, and then you take it to your sewing machine and then sew it by your seam allowance. Okay, so this is the outcome of the entire tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed and you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe and then hit on the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. So guys, thank you so much for watching rather. Have a blessed day. Bye guys.